Hi, I'm Pinky Daga. I'm CEO for Thriive Art Soul. Today we are here with Greg Freidman. He's here from the United States at our beautiful Pyramid Valley as one of the presenters for the Global Festival of Spiritual Sciences, and he's from California in one of my favorite places, Laguna Beach, and he runs a nationally syndicated radio show which is called Inner Journeys with Greg Freidman. He's also a wonderful spiritual guide, and we can already see that with the service he's doing for the many people who are attending here the last few days. So welcome, Greg. It is so nice to have you.
Such an honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's so nice. Tell me, how has your experience been here for the last few days?
You see what happens? It's so big that words are even hard. I mean, everywhere here there are people that are glowing and they're full of life and spirit, and they are so seeking and curious and want to grow within themselves. I can't walk 10 feet without somebody asking me a question. I get to be of service here, which lights me up, and I get to be a student at the same time that I'm a teacher, which is, you can't ask for better than that.
Right.
It's gorgeous.
And how is it different? You are doing, a radio show called Inner Journeys. So I'm sure you're interviewing people on the path, masters, teachers, all the time, right? And so how is it different for you from interviewing people in the Western world as opposed to coming here to India?
So I'm very fortunate because we've been able to interview people from all over the world.
Right.
But we've had some of the biggest thought leaders that I know of on the program. We've had people like Don Miguel Ruiz, and
wow.
I'm telling,
that's something else, Greg.
He is generous and wise and wonderful, and we just had the best time. We've had Bruce Lipton, we've had Neil Donald Walsh, we've had so many just wonderful spirits, and I get to be like a kid in a candy shop.
I know.
I could ask these great minds
Wait, I want your
anything.
job.
You can't have my job.
I want your job.
I can ask these men and women anything, and they are so available to not only share with me, but to share with our listeners.
Right, they have a message for the world.
They have so many messages for the world, and they're so eager when somebody can go and speak to them on their level and open them up to the levels and layers that they don't just get asked on a regular basis. They spark, they come alive, and then it just keeps growing and growing. And that's what's similar about Thrive. Being here for this conference, people spark one another.
Right, exactly, right?
It's like you see this person smile, and that leads to another person smiling, and then they change that smile and they begin to glow, and they start vibrating. And I have been vibrating so much since I've got here. I have been so excited on every level. Mentally, it's stimulated me. Spiritually, it's connected to me. And physically, you eat food that is so charged with love. The people that you have here as both staff and participants all come from the same place. They come from a place of understanding that love and service are synonymous.
Right, absolutely. Tell me. So I've had this feeling for a long time, and I want to know, because you meet so many people, that the boundaries in our world, what the economists like to call globalization, but I see it in a different way. I feel that the boundaries in our world are just dissolving and people are coming together not because of the country or religion or the language they speak. It's about the vibration they hold.
Absolutely. So there's two ways to approach this. I have said this before, that for me, there are two definitions of the word shaman that resonate with my soul. One of them is a wounded healer, and the other one is a bridge. And to me, every single one of us are wounded healers. And every single one of us has an opportunity to be a bridge.
What do you mean by that? What is a wounded healer?
A wounded healer is, people often confuse the word perfect and ideal. Perfection is you flawed in the process. Ideal is this picture of something that is an illusion. And being a wounded healer means I'm going to accept my imperfection on the path of growth and learning. And Marianne Williamson, who was also a guest on my program, has a quote that I love. She says that everything on this planet is either love or a call for love.
Right. And that's so beautiful, right? So far I've just heard, oh, it's either love or fear. But I like that, a love or a call for love.
Because it's not fear. What it is that when people are wounded, they're just calling out, they're looking so much to understand love internally and externally.
Right.
And to me,
that's so true. You are so right. And I've never seen it that way, but I love this concept. Thank you.
Well, I don't believe in fear. Fear to me is false evidence appearing real. Right. Fear is an illusion that we create as a construct. But the truth is, it's just somebody that's looking for compassion for themselves and from others.
And nurturing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And the other part of this is that if you're talking about how you go along this path, how you embody it, it's really more about allowing yourself, accepting yourself. Don Miguel Ruiz, and when we were speaking, he said something that has just rung so poignant and so true for me. He said that each of us, every single one of us, are authors of our own story. And everybody else, every other person, are just characters in that story. So how could we possibly personalize something if we're just a character in their story and they're just a character in ours? Because the truth is, we're not really seeing them. We're seeing them through the filter of who we are.
Correct, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And this becomes one of our biggest spiritual lessons. So when you guide people in your work, when you say you're a spiritual guide, and when you guide people, what is it? What is the guidance that you give? What is the message? How do you allow how do you allow each individuality to embrace their own personal path?
You said the key words, personal path. Right. Because what I say almost every night on the radio program is we're going to introduce you to pathways and possibilities. Right. We're not going to tell you what to do or how to do it, because I've seen those medicine men and shaman and teachers that stand up on a pedestal and they say, I am the light and the way. And I look at them and go, oh, no.
It's the same with the gurus in India, you know? Everyone, and the masters in India, as enlightened and as wise as they are, I feel one of the things and one of the reasons that led me to, build Thriive as a platform is that there's so many ways, so many beacons of light. Right. And you can take so much from so many masters. Exactly. And make it your own little personal bag of goodies, which you can access whenever you need.
I'm going to steal that. I like bag of goodies.
Yeah, exactly.
So we introduce people, as I was saying, to pathways and possibilities. Right. We don't tell you what to do or even how to do it. Right. Because at the end of the day, it's like going into a clothing store and trying something on.
Exactly. I've said this so many times. Did you already start stealing from me?
Okay, you know what? Steal from the best.
Right.
And we don't want you wearing something that's the wrong color for you, the wrong size for you, or it's itchy, or it's funky, or it's out of style. We want you to put on the thing, try it on. If it fits, if it resonates with your soul, then wear it. Even if you wear it, you're not obligated to it.
Yeah, and you're not always going to be in the same clothes.
Exactly.
There's different seasons, there's different moods, and you can, wear something else. It can be so many different things. And it's if you trust yourself, if you learn to listen to that inner voice, it's what is right for you in that moment.
Well, there's two things with that, and let me go on with this just a second.
Sure.
Because once you try this on, then you get to feel, okay, this resonates with my soul. Then it's not me as the teacher who has the power. Right. It's you as the person on a path that recognizes that you are magic, you are powerful. Too many other teachers that work the other way, you wind up becoming dependent on their power. And their energy. And you disregard your own. Right. You are no different than that teacher. Right. You are just your own expression of your own power, your own grace, your own magic. And that's huge.
Right. So tell me about your work with the indigenous tribes. I know that you've done a lot with them. You also work with the medicine wheel. I am fascinated by the indigenous tribes, and I am looking forward to hearing your experiences.
Well, I have been incredibly blessed. For decades, I have had some of the people that I respect most not only take me under the wing, but take me literally into their homes.
Right.
And they teach. And I'll tell you something about Indigenous teaching. In Western culture, and I'm not sure how it is here,
Yes.
in Western culture, most Indigenous teaching is too harsh for a lot of Westerners because they don't mess around. They will tell you the truth. And they're not going to candy coat it. They're not going to put any kind of little fluff on it.
Right.
They're going to tell it to you straight.
Right.
And as a result, I have learned so much and understood how to respect a way that is simple.
Right.
And what I've found is the truth is always simple. When people are using too many words or too many multisyllabic words, I start to look at it and go,
Complicated words.
right.
Yeah.
You start to look at it and go, really? What are you covering up? Because it's always simple.
Right.
We just tend to complicate it,
Right.
but it's not.
But tell me, I want to know now about your journey. How
Okay.
did you find them? How did you become one with the indigenous tribes?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use the word coyote
Oh,
or heoka.
okay.
Heoka or coyote is a trickster in Native American tradition.
Right.
Now, what you were talking about earlier about the world all coming together, well, so much of what is going on right now is heoka energy. It's trickster energy. It's that when we think things are breaking apart, they're often coming together. There's a saying that I love, which is the caterpillar thinks its life is dying right before it becomes a butterfly.
Right.
And that's what's going on in the world today. And to me, I had the honor of being tricked into going out and doing ceremony decades ago.
Right.
Somebody said, oh, it's like right around the corner. It's so close. It's so easy.
try it out.
It's no problem. And it was forever.
Right.
And I was out there on the road for driving, going inside because I thought,
Did I get tricked into?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was tricked into it. But sometimes you're tricked into exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
And I wound up doing a lot of work with the Yaqui.
Right.
And the Yaqui,
And is that a California-based tribe?
that's an Arizona and Mexico-based tribe.
Wow.
And the Yaqui, most people are not familiar with the Yaqui until I say a name. And that name is Carlos Castaneda.
Ah, yes. Then everyone knows the if it's associated with Carlos Castaneda.
Right. And Carlos Castaneda wrote a lot of books about the trickster and the Yaqui.
Yeah.
And that family
Amazing books.
is now my family. The week before I was here, I was actually out on the res for a wedding because they are my family.
Right.
And they take me in, and every year they do ceremony. And they do one ceremony that I think is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Once a year, and it lasts about a month and a half, this ceremony.
Okay.
And it culminates in a battle. And most people think that this battle is symbolic, but to the Yaquis, it's not symbolic. What they are doing is they are taking the energy of what they're placing into this event as a means to save the world every single year.
Wow.
And there's a battle that goes back and forth between tricksters and cowboys and all kinds of soldiers. And then
What do they do?
they literally are in this huge yard and there's a battle and they go back and forth, and instead of weapons, they use confetti and it goes flying all over the yard.
Wow.
So there's all this energy, and there's people in masks representing different countries and different people. And at the end of the world, when it's just about to go the way down the spiral, it's always the same. The children save the world.
Right.
And yesterday, you allowed us to go teach a class with the children.
Right. How was that?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. These kids light up. And as wonderful as teaching the class was, the coolest thing was later that night, was out by the bridge, and 10 of the little kids saw us, and they just come running up, and you get mobbed by all these tiny little midgets, and they're so full of joy and happiness and excitement at about being who they are, as they are.
Yes.
And it so feeds me.
It is. And they are going to save the world.
They
Because
are.
if we teach them today what we know now, can you imagine what it can do, how it can impact the world?
Well, the thing is, it's people like you that teach that love and being of service are really the primary purposes for being on this planet.
Right.
You know, you were asking about the medicine wheel.
Right. Tell me about that.
Every-
What is a medicine wheel? For people who don't know.
Well, I'm going to start with this.
Okay.
Almost every single culture has a medicine wheel.
Okay.
The Eightfold Path
Right.
is a medicine wheel.
Oh, I get it now.
The Hawaiians have a medicine wheel. The Siberians have a medicine wheel. The Chinese, the Japanese, they all have medicine wheels. The Native Americans have medicine wheels. Nobody told these ancient cultures to text one another and say, hey, let's set it up this way.
Right.
But we are embedded with this understanding that this is a pathway to ourselves.
Right.
And ultimately, it's funny because I was teaching a class on the medicine wheel not that long ago. Went into great detail about every single aspect, what it means, what it's there for, and at the end of the day, somebody raised their hand and they said, okay, I get all this, but what is a medicine wheel? And I said, okay, that's a fair question.
Right.
The truth is this: you, me, each of us are the medicine.
Right.
And the wheel is just a tool that leads us back to ourselves.
Okay. How?
That's such a great question. Because ultimately, everything has an energy.
Right.
Everything has an association. And you know,
Yeah.
each of us are born into this world with a gift, with a purpose.
Right.
Why are we here?
Right. Why are we here? That's a question for so many.
And the medicine wheel
Right.
helps us recognize ourselves.
Right.
You know, I was put up on a hill to do a vision quest.
Right. A vision quest.
A vision quest.
Oh wow. What is that?
A vision quest is an elder prepares you over a long period of time for a ceremony where he puts you up on top of a hill in a space that's no greater than the two of these chairs combined for 4 days, 4 nights, no food, no water.
Wow.
And you have one job. In all those 4 days, 4 nights, your job is to find your song. Each of us are born into this world with a song. Each of us have a purpose.
Right.
Each of us are so much looking for the pathway for us to freely express that.
Right. Exactly.
And you get put up into that environment because everything else is taken away,
Yeah.
including food and water.
Right.
And they say, even though you know this to not be true, they say you can't survive that long without water.
No, but you can.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
But scientists haven't always caught up with spirit.
Right.
More and more,
They are.
they are.
Right.
Hence, where we are here and now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you do that beautifully. The combination of teachers and masters that you have here, there are so many people that approach this from different ways. For example, on the medicine wheel, if you go to the east, you're going to people that enter their being through spirit.
Right.
If you go through the south, it's heart.
Right.
If you go to the west, it's through body. And if you go to the north, it's through your head, through your intelligence and intellect.
Right. Right.
So every one of us has a pathway to ourselves and to each other.
Right.
And this is what the wheel does.
And it helps us discover this path.
It helps us discover ourselves, our song, our path, our purpose for being. And then it helps us sing it,
Right.
embody it,
Right.
walk it.
And how long ago did you do your vision quest?
It was a long time ago now. Now, people will do multiple vision quests throughout their lives at different points, and they get to do other things. I'm very blessed because when I work with sweat lodges, then I'm a fire keeper.
Right.
I get to tend the fire. Now, the fire itself is a medicine wheel. Because what you do when you're building a fire for a sweat lodge is every stone is chosen because it speaks to you.
Right.
It's saying that the rocks are used because they are the thing that's oldest on this planet. They've seen the most, so they have the most wisdom to be able to share.
Right.
And as you're picking up a rock, you're listening and you're saying, do you have anything that you want to share with us this evening? And if it says yes,
Right.
or if it just calls to you anyway, it
Right.
doesn't even wait for the question,
Yeah.
then it gets placed into a very specific position on the whole wheel that's in the fire. Then you build a fire over it.
Wow.
And those rocks cook for hours and hours, and they glow. And
that sounds like something from a magical universe.
it is a magical universe, but this
Can I come?
is a magical. Do you want to do a sweat lodge?
Yes, I do.
Next time you're in the States,
Yes.
I'll take you to a sweat lodge.
Yeah. So how many days is it?
How
How
do you
long?
know that the number one question people ask when they talk about sweat lodges is, how long is it?
Yeah.
You know what the real answer is?
Yeah.
As long as it takes.
Right.
But usually they're a couple of hours.
Right.
So what you do is you spend the entire day is ceremony.
Right.
Because any ceremony begins long before the actual event
Right.
and integrates long after the actual event. So the sweat lodge is we build the fire and we do it in ceremony, even then as we choose. And we do it with consideration and respect and honor. And then you let that fire build and cook. And then at some point, everybody's called in to enter the inipi, the sweat lodge. The sweat lodge is essentially the equivalent of going into the womb of Mother Earth. And then you go, and there's rounds. And every round, you bring in these stones. And at this point, these rocks are glowing hot red. And you walk in, you crawl in, just like you would into the womb. You crawl in, and they shut the door behind you after a certain amount of stones are in, and you can't see the hand in front of your face. It's so dark in there, and it's sealed. And imagine, as an adult, sitting in a womb.
Right.
And the elder that's pouring water leads songs and pours water. And every round has an intention and an energy. There's prayers for self,
Right.
there's prayers for others, and there's
I
a...
can almost feel it when you're talking. Like, I can feel it.
I get so excited about this.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people go, oh my, that must be so hot.
But you don't feel it because you're not in your body at the moment.
The truth is, that heat is a conduit, helps us go beyond our physicality, helps us go into our true being.
Right.
Because you actually shouldn't be able to thrive and survive in anything that hot.
Right.
But you do, because we are so much more than the construct that we are told that we are.
Yeah, the physical vessel.
Exactly.
Yes.
And when we can access that, we get to see the congress, the union between spirit and ourselves, and you see that there's actually no different. We are simply spirit embodied.
Right.
And this is just the pathway to ourselves. Every round. And then at the end of it all, you crawl out, you say, Om Takwiyasa, which means to all my relatives. Because the truth is, you are my relative. We are all relatives.
Connected.
We are all connected.
Right.
And we say thank you to all my relatives, the ones that were there to teach us, the ones that we get to share what we were taught with. And then this appeals to the Italian in me.
Right.
After every ceremony, there has to be a feast.
Right. Of course.
And you eat and you enjoy and you talk and you share stories and you laugh because you've all gone through your own version of the same kind of arduous journey together.
Right. You have to deal with yourself. You come up against yourself in an environment like
It leaves no other option.
Right.
It is only your option is to be there with yourself. And you know, the more you resist being you, the more difficult it is.
Right.
I'm telling you, it gets so hot in there where I've taken a breath in and I feel my lungs searing. And I've taken a breath out and my breath hits my legs and I can feel it burning my legs.
Yeah.
But you go out and not only are you not burned, but you are invigorated, you're alive.
Right.
You feel like, I am so glad to be me on this planet in this moment.
Right.
And isn't that what ultimately we're all looking for?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And let me ask you, what was that first ever song that you were able to discover in yourself?
It's funny because in one way or another, I've been asked a million times, how did this all begin? How did I begin on this path? I'm sure you get asked that all the time as well.
Not as much as you do, but yeah. Maybe I will now. Maybe you will ask me.
I will ask you that. And the truth is, even it's not a flippant answer. I've done this my entire life.
Right.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
And when I went up on that hill, my song was to stop being in denial of that,
Right.
is to embrace who I am.
Right.
And it's that in my world, in Western culture, or going down to Peru, you can't throw a stone without somebody saying they're a shaman or a medicine man or a healer.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, the biggest, most powerful people that I've ever worked with have never called themselves shaman or medicine men or healers. Other people do. So that when the universe calls on me to be of service, I still take that path. When somebody will call me something, I let them, whatever you want to do is up to you.
Right.
But you're never going to hear me say that I am a shaman.
Right.
Because I'm just in the lodge that I go to most often, they call it a broom pusher lodge.
Right.
My job is just to sweep. My job is just to clean, just to make the area beautiful.
Right.
And my job is just to be of service
And to the universe and to the people.
to the most humble way I can.
Right.
And there's this very tough juxtaposition in that, where you have to embrace who you are. You can't be in denial of who you are, but you know what? The ones that get a big head about it, they pop like a balloon and go around the room.
The truth is, if you actually embody who you are, you don't need to prove it.
Right.
And the only people who get a big head about it is the people who need to prove it to the world.
Exactly.
Right. But if you are that, if you're embodying that essence, you do not feel the need to prove it.
All right, Pinky, how did you begin on this path?
I'm going to answer that on your radio.
See, the whole thing is, this is killing me because I interview people all the time.
and you're But tell me, Greg, as we end this, if there was one message that you have to give somebody who's just begun on the path, who's just starting to embrace themselves, I'm going to ask you one simple way in how can we find ourselves? Message.
What a great question.
Yeah.
The first thing is, don't expect too much of yourself. There's a Kabbalistic story of 4 rabbis that heard the voice of God. One went crazy. The other one just disappeared into the wild forever. Another one did something else where it just made him explode. And one got it. Right. The truth is, you're on a path where you are, as you are. Don't try to be somewhere else. Embrace who you are in this place, and you'll get to the next place much more easily. Right. But if you try to put, I should be here, or I should do this, or I should be this kind of person, then all you're going to do...
negativity in me is wrong. That's
right.
one of the mistakes.
Exactly. Then all you're going to do is you're going to be full of should, and you're going to be your worst enemy. Instead, just be you. The more you can embrace you, the more you can accept that you are magical. It may not look like it in this moment. Trust me. There are so many times I scream up to the universe, if you just give me a sign, and the universe is looking down at me going, how much clearer can I make it for him?
So very often it's about being able to recognize those signs. Right?
Well, it's just understand that the same way that if you had your eyes covered for a long time and it was a bright day, you do this and it's going to become overwhelming and the light is going to hurt your eyes. But if you allow yourself to gradually adjust to the vision, if you allow yourself the grace to gradually wake up to yourself and to your own gift, you will blossom in such a way that you will emanate beauty wherever you go, and it will become infectious. And your joy, your love will become contagious, and the world will grow in that because of you. Because one grain of sand looks so minute, but it is imperative that every single grain of sand makes up something as grand as the Sahara.
Right. That is so true, and that's magical.
And you are as well.
Thank you. Thanks for the magic that you shared with us today, Greg.
Thank you.
Thanks.